Okay, so we're joined here today by Georgina Blackman, current player on the Ladies European Tour and a former collegiate standout at Western Kentucky, four-time All-Conference, and played on the on the English girls team, and many more accolades. Thanks for getting on with us. And first of all, how you doing? How's everything going?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's been not my best year, but obviously it's been great anyway. Like being on tour is so much fun, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, so I mean, you're on the LET currently. You've been playing full Ladies European Tour. You have been playing a couple other tours as well.
Yeah, I've played the first half of the year like full European tour, and then this back half I've played a few of the LET Access events as well.
Okay, okay. So yeah, you said it's been a little tough. Where I'll go into I'd love to hear a little more about how you're kind of managing all that. But first, I just want to jump back a few years back into the past and your amateur days. Obviously I mentioned you played Western Kentucky, played really well at Western Kentucky. Obviously you're not from the US originally. Could you tell us a little bit more about, how they came about and also, what you learned in those 4 years and if there's any, you know, juniors who are looking at traveling to the US and playing college golf, if you got any words of advice for them.
Um, yeah, so I joined an agency and they helped me get over there. And I absolutely loved it. I mean, I went from sort of practicing 2 or 3 times a week when I'm at home and obviously juggling school, and I didn't live near my golf club, so it was hard to get to practice. And then I came to university and it was like, right, classes in the morning and then golf all day, every day after that. And it was just amazing. My golf came on so much. I really improved. And obviously, who doesn't want to play golf every day? It was great. Um, so yeah, so if there's any juniors out there thinking about doing it, I'd definitely say do it. If you don't like it, you can come back after a year or, however long. But if you don't try it, you'll never know. And the things I've learned and the experiences I had are just unforgettable and, so worth doing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for a lot of, European or just international kids, it always seems kind of like an unattainable thing, but I think now there's been a lot done to really help them with, kind of making that step. The game is so much more global now, and you're seeing so many players now, such as yourself, who've come through that kind of, college golf scene, have been able to take that into their pro careers. I mean, I mean, speaking of your pro career, how have the last few years been? And, how's that whole experience? How was that transition from college to professional golf?
I would say definitely like the travel. I mean, it is slightly different because obviously now I'm getting on planes and stuff and not having to do 14-hour drives, which is a lot nicer. But yeah, you get so used to sort of like packing a suitcase, going away for a week, coming back, and then, doing the exact same thing again the week after. Which definitely helps like being pro because that's basically what you do as well. So that was definitely really helpful. And then also just getting used to playing and practicing every day and the competition like weekly is was so important so that when I then did turn pro, it didn't phase me that I had, 6 events back to back because that's what we were doing in college.
Yeah, no, it's a tough environment, I think, like in collegiate golf that, I mean, there's a reason I think so many of these like, top players and top pros are all coming out of that world. It breeds that toughness, I think, for players. I mean, speaking of toughness and, having to maybe sometimes manage, adversity and difficulty. you mentioned it's been a bit of a, a tricky spell, for you personally on the golf course.
Mhm.
How do you manage that, kind of on the weekly or in your process? Is there a way of preparing differently, or, sticking to the process? It varies so much from one to the next. What's your way of handling that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a difficult year for me to say the least. I've played terribly, and I really suffer with like performance anxiety, and I just get to the course and freeze. And it's hard because in the practice rounds and the days leading up to the event, I'm absolutely fine, and I feel like I'm hitting the ball well. And then it's just on the day, it's like I'm a different person. So it's quite difficult to try and navigate that when I never had any issues like that at college or anything. I think it's different because you have a whole team. So, you're not worried about your score because if you don't play well, there's four other people that are gonna back up your score for you. Um, so yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve for me. And it's kind of happened since I've turned pro. And I've seen psychologists about it, and it is definitely something where you have to like have a process. So you get to the ball, you know exactly what you're doing, you make it the same every time, and just make sure that you've practiced as much as you can up until that day, so that when you get to the tournament rounds, you've done all you can. And that does sort of ease the anxiety a little bit. Um, but yeah, it's just sort of the small things that you do that kind of like help make it a bit better. So that's what I've been trying to do this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, more power to you for actually, diving into it, and then kind of facing it. That's not easy, especially when you're, a professional athlete, and I mean, it's your job, it's like your livelihood. So it's always very impressive to hear the kind of the stories of all the, players who might be going through a tough patch, and who are actually, kind of being proactive about it, and getting involved, and facing those things. So, I'm sure we'll be seeing you making a whole bunch of birdies, sooner sooner
Hopefully.
than later. Yeah, but I mean, now we've kind of talked about the tougher side of it. Over your last few years in pro golf, like what's been the best moment, or the one that just sticks in your mind, that is just a highlight?
The highlight for me probably was when I played it was an Aramco event in London, at Centurion Golf Club, and I'd had like a average day, and we get to the last hole, and they had like all the grandstands out, which we had never really had because obviously playing it during COVID, we weren't allowed spectators and stuff. And I hold out for eagle on the last, and like the roar of the crowd was amazing. It was like something I'd never experienced before. So yeah, that stays with me because that was just like such a cool moment. It's like one of the ones that you see on TV that you don't really expect is going to happen to you. So that was cool.
Well, especially in front of a home crowd as well, that must have been extra.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that was really nice.
Um, yeah, so now just wanted to touch on a little bit more about your preparation, kind of, throughout the season, whereas, how you structure it with, if it's, a coaching staff, if you got multiple people, if you've got your caddy with you, and also, the practice tools, perhaps with stats, I'm just foreshadowing, but how do you implement all these different things in your routine?
I have found, to be honest, with Upgame, like the feature where you can preview the course beforehand is really helpful. So I most of the time before a tournament, especially if I haven't seen the course, I will go onto Upgame and have a look and just get a feel for it, see what it looks like. Are the fairways wide? Are they not? Um, and even if I just flick through quickly, just so that I know before I get there, oh, is it tree lined? Is it not? It's just so much more helpful, and like I sort of then know what to expect when I get there. But as for the rest, I do it all on my own, so I don't have a caddy, so it's kind of just down to me to make good notes when I have my practice rounds and things like that. And yeah, obviously I found with Upgame it has really helped, just that feature especially.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, doing it on your own, that's definitely a tough. Uh, yeah, it's a tough thing to manage. I mean, I'm guessing obviously, but that's definitely something. I think I'll also on the flip side, it does build that toughness within you of like, if you're able to get through this kind of tough environment, you'll pretty much be ready for anything in the future.
Yeah, it does feel like that to be honest. And it is quite nice because then you think like, oh, I know I can do it by myself. So then when you do have a caddy there, like it just makes it easier. And you're like, okay, well, I can do it by myself. So now I've got someone else there. I definitely can do it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, speaking of doing it and kind of, looking now more towards the future, what are your plans here in the coming weeks and months? And, maybe what are some of your expectations for 2025? And, not necessarily results, but even just in terms of how you do things, how you want to evolve. What's that looking like for you?
it's going to be a bit of a different year, I think. I'm taking a bit of time off now because I've just really struggled with it this year, and I haven't enjoyed it, and that's been like the main thing. It's just been a struggle. Like I get to the golf course and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this. It's so hard. So I'm taking like a month or two off for now. And then I've got status on the Access Tour next year. So I think I'm just gonna work towards over the winter, like improving my swing, improving my short game. Um, just the smart, like the small minor things that I didn't really have time to do throughout the season because it was so busy. I want to be able to work on them over winter and come back and actually have fun and enjoy it and take the pressure off. And, you know, yeah, like it would be nice to see a few results, but as long as I'm enjoying it and having fun, that's the main thing for me.
Well, we'll be following. Everyone here will be wishing you the best of luck, and I'm sure we'll be seeing a whole bunch of great stuff from you in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.